Hello everybody, good afternoon and welcome to today's tutorial. My name is Chidiebere. In today's tutorial, we'll be looking at how to monetize your app by showing Google adverts or ads on them. And the prerequisite for this tutorial is for you to have a Google admob account. You can create one by simply going to admob.com. It will take you to this it will take you to the new screen where you have to either sign up or sign in. Okay, it's taking time. You have to sign up. Then once after the sign up, you can then sign in, but you might need to verify your email address by clicking on a link sent to you. So once you sign in, it brings you to this place. So in this place, it will show you the matrices which you have and how much you are earning for each of your advert which is displayed. So for Google AD, you can actually AD mob, you can actually use it on your website or application, depending on which one where you want to use it. If it's for app, you can simply go to this, and then these are the ones I created before, and then click on add app. It will tell you to choose your platform, Android or iOS, choose. And if you are still developing it, please select no. Select no. If your app is already on the Play Store, then you can select yes. So for that, you can set this, and then click on continue. It will create your app here. Your app will appear here, and once you start it up, you will have um, an empty, and you will have something like this showing you an overview for that particular app. Now, two things which you need for you to be able to display either a banner, interstitial, or reward AD is to create an AD unit. For this, I've already created uh, AD banner, interstitial, and reward, which are the three things which we will be looking at. For you to create this, you need to click on add AD unit, select banner, then add a name and add a name, in a unique name, click on create AD. It will then create your AD banner here. It will tell you the format, and then you can also do that for interstitial. Enter a name, click on OK, create AD unit, and then this is for reward. You click on it. So the three that we will be looking at is this, and this. Why do we need to create this AD unit? We need to have this AD unit because we need to make use of this to display our own banner and get paid when people watch those adverts. So these are the things we need. But for now, we will not be using this because I created this today, and it might take up to 2-3 days for before your AD unit can start displaying AD. So what do? We need to use Google demo AD unit for us to be able to view our AD immediately. So also we have what we call app ID. So your app ID is an essential part of what you need from this Google AD mob for you to display ADs on your app. So this is my Google AD, my app ID, which I will be needing. For Android, I will need to add this to my manifest under metadata, and for iOS, I will need to add it to info.plist. So I've already written this out. These are the Google demo app ID for Android, which we will add to our Android manifest, and for our p-info list. And these are the ones we use to serve our AD unit. This is for banner. This is for banner, Android, iOS, interstitial, and then rewarded AD unit, Android, iOS, and if it's not Android iOS platform, then it will return what? It will return an error. So without wasting much of your time, the first thing you do is to go to this pub.dev, go to pub.dev, and then search for flutter underscore Google underscore ads, and then you will be taken to this place. This first one, click on it, go to installing, pick up the dependency, copy it, then go back to your project, go to your pubspec.yaml file and then add it and do pub get. So for this tutorial, I've already started my app and it's running. I just want you to be able to see what we have as we keep on building. So I've also gone ahead to delete most of the things I have, and I only have my main void and my class app. So right now we have not defined any home for it. That's why it's looking blank. We start by defining a home route and saying home underscore route. We add a home route. Okay, let's just add it, and then we import our material widget. Sorry, our material, water material, and then the next thing which we want to do is to define a stateful widget, STF. It will give you the option. You now click on tab and it will create this boilerplate for you. So we want to click a home route. So our home route will simply be what? Our home route. We've created this home route and we want to add this home route to our main. So we quickly come to this place and display home. And what do we want to call with the screen we want to call is home route. So with this, once I click on this, it should show our home route. It's showing our home route, but due to we don't have anything, let's return scaffold instead, and it will return a nice looking interface. Okay, this is our home route which we've just defined, and we also want to define other routes as well in here, or the route which we will be using. So we will define it here, routes, and we say string comma widget builder, and then close, and then sorry, open and close, and then we want to define our route. If we want to access this home page or home route, we'll now use slash home, and we have contest build contest, and then new home route, and then this. So any other route which you want to add, we will now be adding it below this place. So this is our home route, and whenever we call our route by name by adding slash home, this particular stuff here, it will automatically redirect to this particular page. So the next thing which we want to do is to design our home route. What do we want to do? We use a body stack. We use a stack. Sorry, first of all, we initialize it, initialize our Google AD stuff, our Google AD advert by calling future initialization status. It will get the initialization status of what? Let's define this as not future initialize Google by ADs. So with this, we'll get our initialization status. Return what? Return mobile AD dot instance dot what? Dot initialize. So this is what will be returned, and this will be fired up once our page loads within this place. So what do we return as our body? We use a feature builder, and we have a void method inside, and for our feature builder we open and close bracket, and then the feature which we want to listen to is the initialize Google stuff which we defined up, and then our builder is going to be what? Our builder is going to be builder build contest and async snapshot void snapshots. So with this, we are ready to start building our home. So the next thing we want to do is to return what? Is to return a center. We want to position our widgets at center and close it up here. and then we do our child, we do colon, and then the children, we define the children. So the next thing to do is our to position this our column at the center, not at the beginning of the. So we do main axis alignment, main axis alignment dot center. And the next thing we do is to do cross what? Cross axis alignment, cross axis alignment dot center. So it will center our widget. So what do we want to display here is I want to display a text to inform the user what this page is all about. Banner AD be displayed at the top. So with this, we can refresh this page and then we'll have our text here. So banner ADs will be displayed at the top. The next thing which we want to do is to give some space using size box and then 20, and then we want to display a button, an elevated button, once this has been initialized, so that we can easily do what? Call our banner page. So our banner page, for now we will leave this as null, and because we've not defined the page where we want to take this thing to. So for this, we are going to put a text and then say let's get started. So let's get started, and then now we've added this and it's showing. It's showing, but it's showing blank because we've not enabled this. Now let's define the page where we want it to go. So let's call the page game routes. And then for this, what do we want to do? We want to import our material widget, our material stuff, our material import, and then do stf stateful widget and call it what? Game route. So with this, we can be able to here do scaffold, return scaffold, and then come to our main dot dat here. We just simply do what? Call our route game. Whenever we call this game route, it will take us automatically to this place context, and then to point to what? Game route. So with this created, we are now ready to assign a value to this guy here. So what do we want to do? In our button here, we'll now point this guy to go to the game page where our banner will be displayed by saying navigator dot of contest dot push name of the route is what? Game. You remember we called it game. So this will be the name where we want it to go to. So when we refresh this, we'll see it will turn blue here to tell us that it's clickable now. So with this, we can go to the next page. It's now on the next page, which is this page. But then we only want to show this button when our admob mobile AD instance has been initialized. So what do? We now query the snapshot that is gotten here, the result, by saying if snapshot dot has data inside, if it has data that is returned, then return this guy. So let's see if it has the we need to rebuild this. It will take us back to the home page. So we have this. So right now it has data, it has been initialized and it has data. That's why it is showing. Let's now say if it doesn't have data, what will happen? Let's just do a reverse of the case and see. So it has data, and we are saying that if it doesn't have data, it should show this, but it has data. So just to show you that this stuff is working, but we want to make use of it has data here. Don't confuse this. I've removed this exclamation mark here. And then the next thing we want to do is to, what if it has an error due to internet connection issue? What do we want to do? Then we want to show dot has error. Then we want to show an icon that will tell the user icons dot error underscore outline. So we use color. We do colors dot red. Then we do size, the size of the error. Let's use 30 for it. So if it has error, maybe due to internet connection issues, it should show an error error icon red, and the size is this. And what if none of these conditions are met? That means it's still loading. So else what do we want to do? We want to show a circular progress indicator instead. So with this, make sure you don't put comma at the end of this because this is continuous. So with this, we'll be able to see what we want to do. So after this, the next place which we want to go to is in our page route, where we want to design and deploy our ADs. Now, we've built this. The next thing we want to do is to initialize okay, let's get our, first of all, let's import some packages. Import what? Import Google admob. So with this, you can now start late banner ad, and then we call this ad banner, and then we want a boolean value to check whether our ad, we are ready to serve ad ready. We say false. Then once we are ready, we change it to true. So we want to load this once our page starts. So we use void init state and then this. So with this, we want to initialize our banner and then load it. So we initialize this banner instance of this banner we created here. We initialize it by calling banner ad. What do we want to do with our banner ad? What do we want to do? We want to specify the ad units. Now, the first thing we need is an ad unit, and we've not created our ad unit. So let's quickly create our ad unit. Let's add another file, and we call it ad what? Helper. So with this ad helper, we want to quickly create a class which we will call ad helper class. So what will this ad helper do for us? We are going to store these values here, all these value this ad unit, but what we are going to be using is what will be the demo value which Google gives us, just because of the reason which I explained to you. So these are the kind of thing we want to, and I have already gotten the ones I needed, which are these. So these are the ad this thing that I need. I don't want to type it because I might end up getting an error. So it's going to show, I'm going to explain what it does. We import that.io. So what it does is that this is a function that will return this value or this value. Now, this function is dependent on whether the platform which we are running this application is Android. If it's Android, it returns the value, the AD unit ID value for Android. If it's iOS, it returns the AD unit value for iOS. Else, if it's none of these two platforms, then it will throw up an error, unsupported whatever error. So I'm still going to share this so that you can easily use this Google AD. And the reason being that we don't want to use this now because this has not started serving ADs. It takes 2 to 3 days. So after 2 to 3 days of creating yours, you can go ahead, copy this. This is for banner, this is for interstitial, this is for reward. So copy this for banner, and don't forget this is for Android alone. You have to copy for Android, come to this place, replace for your Android, then come to interstitial AD units, replace for the interstitial, which is the second one. This is what you copy for interstitial. Then come to this third one, rewarded AD unit. Then you copy this here and replace it with this. And also go to your iOS platform. I don't have any here. So if you want, you can create it by going to apps, then add app, then you choose iOS platform to create your this, and then copy whatever you need for those ones. So back to our project, we've defined this, and then we are good to go. So go back to our game route, which we are working on. Now we can now get our what? We can now get our AD unit. AD unit. So our AD unit, what we call on our class, AD helper class, and then what do we want to get? Our banner unit, which is this banner unit. It will now return this or this depending on what on the platform dot banner AD unit. So the next thing which we want to define is the request. Now we have a function which we can use to make the AD request. AD request. It's a function which you call for it to make a request. Then we want to define the size of our banner. You can add a custom size, but banner has a default size, so we can use the default size by calling AD size.banner. Then we want to listen to the events which we are called. We have banner AD listener event, and then what do we want to add to it? We want to call on AD loaded. When the AD has been loaded, what do we want to do? We want to, this requires a value, but we are not using the value for anything. Now, when it's loaded, we want to set this state here, this Boolean state, to true, so that we can use it to detect, to work on our page later on. So with this, don't forget, this is our home page, home route. This is our game. This will take us to our game. So let me quickly refresh so that we can be on our game page and see what I'm designing. So right now it's empty. So we want to set our is banner ready. We set it to true because yes, it has loaded. When it has loaded, then the second thing we want to check is what if it fails to load. On AD fails to load, what do we want with AD and the error message which will be returned? So what do we want to do? Do we want to print the error to tell the user what happened? Fail to load a banner AD, and then we add additional information by telling them what the error is and calling our error that message. So some of you might decide to show a pop-up dialog, or to navigate to another screen, or to refresh this page. Whatever you want to do, you can do it within this method. So now we set our is banner ready. That means our banner is not ready because it fails to load. So we make sure that it keeps on being false, and then we dispose of that AD banner. which failed to load, so it won't be occupying space in our memory. So after this is the initialization of this AD banner here. Now we want to load that AD banner. After we must have done what? We must have initialized it. So I say banner dot what? Load. So this banner dot load now is here. Now before we move on, I would like to quickly show you another thing which you need to do before your app will be able to work. So go under, we need to add our what? We need to add our app ID. Your app ID is gotten from this place. Now for Android, now you need to go to Android app source folder, main folder, open your android.manifest and make sure you have this here. Now this is for Google test demo test app ID, which is what we are using. But if you want to use yours, you can copy this and go over to your project and then replace what you have in this place with your own app ID. This is for Android. And for iOS users, if you want to do for iOS, simply go to iOS runner, open your P info list and see this GAD application identifier, then you add your own key here. So we are making use of the Google key right now, app ID. That's why mine is not here, but you can add yours here if your AD have started serving adverts. So those are the two requirements which you need to do. Please don't skip this video because this is in between the videos, and most of you, once you skip it, you might miss it. So with this done, I've already added this and loaded it. So if you have this running and you just added this, you might need to stop your application and then rerun it for it to be able to initialize afresh. So now with our this thing initialized right now, we also need to dispose it off once this page closes. We need to dispose it so it won't be occupying space in our RAM. So we say what? Banner ad dot what? Dispose. Then we say super dot dispose. This is called when this page is closed. So now let's design our page. For our body, what do we want? We want a safe area. Safe area makes sure that our app doesn't move out of this bound, the bounds of our screen like this. It stays within this bound. So that's why we normally use safe area. And for the child of safe area, we want to use a stack. Stack allows you to position anything at anywhere, at any place. Column allows you to align vertically only or horizontally. Or stack, you can put it here, you can put it here, you can put it here, you can put it here with the aid of align widget or positioned widget. So those are the two widgets which you can use to position other widgets either here, 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 or any place on the screen. So stack has children. It allows you to add multiple stuffs inside of it. And the children, we put center, and then child, we add column because we want to add multiple stuff in our column. And then we return a test. First of all, we want that. Okay, let's first of all return a test so I can show you why we need to do main axis alignment. I say add banner will be displayed, AD banner will be displayed at the top. So with this, if I refresh, I'm going to get this. I don't want it to be here because this is where my banner will appear. So what do? I come over to this place and specify main axis alignment dot center, and then I display cross axis alignment dot center. So with this defined, the next thing we will do is to add a button that will show us once our page loads, we want to make sure that once our page loads, the banner will be displayed because it's already initialized here at the starting of this. So let's quickly see if this works by restarting our application. Hot restart. This is it here. It has initialized our in our home. It has initialized our mobile AD instance. You need to initialize it before you can use it. So you click on this, it brings you to this place. So wait for it. It's still loading our ADs, and our AD will start showing after some time. So it's going to take some time for it to start showing. So while we are waiting for it to show, we can go ahead and start coding other stuff under our game. So the next thing which we want to do is the next thing which we want to do is what? Is to add a button that will take us to um, our reward page. Our reward page will just display what? Our reward page will just display a video, and after you see where I told you about the reward, where that you said it will now return the reward and give it to the user after the user must have watched the video. So we come down to this place and we define this and say it's load what? Load rewarded ADs. So with this rewarded ADs, what do we want to do? First of all, we want to initialize our rewarded AD here. This is for banner. This is for, oh, sorry, I've not added the banner widget for this. I've not added the banner. Sorry, that's why it's not showing. I needed to add the banners and position it at the top here before you can be able to view the banner. So let's quickly go ahead and inside our stack, after this center widget, we want to add now we have to check whether the banner is ready to load to serve us AD. You remember we added is banner ready here, and then we set it to true after it has loaded here. So if it's true, then it will return a line. Remember I told you a line is used to position widgets at any place. So I will have alignment dot what? Top center. I want to display it at the top here. I can choose bottom center or any other place. So I'll have a child, and it will be a container, and then I will specify the width. So I want to use this banner AD dot size to get the size of the banner, the width dot to double, and use it to display uh, banner dot size dot height to double. So our child here will be what? An AD advert widget, and we pass the AD what? The banner AD which we created. So this is the banner AD which we created, and then we pass it to it. So now we can now restart our application, and then it has initialized, and it goes over to our next page, and it's going to take some time for it to start displaying our ADs. It's going to take some time. So while we are waiting, okay, we refreshed it again and it's now showing our AD here. So I needed to add this before it can be able to show this AD. Now the next thing we want to show is to show rewarded AD, which can be in form of video or interstitial and every other thing. So what do? I first of all initialize it here by saying rewarded AD. I'm making sure using this null checker to make sure it's not empty, and put this, and we put a boolean value is rewarded ready, and we set it to what? To false. So with these two, we are ready to do what? To go. This is false, not flowers. So with this, we are ready to go. So down here, where we have our rewarded uh, method, which we are calling, we want to do what? We want to do rewarded dot rewarded ad. This should be rewarded ad dot. We defined it at the top. We want to load it, and the first thing which we want to load, these are the requirements. These are the things which we want. So the first thing is, remember our ad unit, which is stored in helper class, and this is it here. This is the one we want to access here. So we say ad helper dot rewarded ad unit, and for our request, remember I told you we have a function which is called add ad request, and our callback, which is called rewarded ad load callback. Rewarded ad load callback. If it's loaded, then this is the callback we want to get. So we have the unloaded and the unfailed to load. What do we want to do when this ad has been loaded? So the first thing is to get the ad in this parameter definition, and then what do we want to do with it? We want to first of all set our state, which is rewarded ready. Sorry, I made it a private class. Is reward ad ready. Let me see. Is rewarded ad ready. So let me copy it and paste it here. Equals to true. Oh, this is what I called it. Sorry, I'm supposed to use this. I'm supposed to use this. So not this particular one, because so if it's reward, we set it to true once it has loaded. And since it has loaded, we'll now come down to this place and say what? Load rewarded ad, which is we call this function again. We call it and it will load it for us. So, but what of if it fails? What of if it fails to load? But before then, what if it fails to load? What do we want to do? So we'll first of all capture the error here, and then if you remember, this is a function, so we need to put this, and then this, this. Okay, so what if it fails to load? What do we want to do? Just want to print what? Print fail to load a reward ad, and then do this, and then error dot what? Message. A message, want to show it. Then we also do what? Do set state. In case we've set it to true before, we tell it that it's not ready to serve ad, so we change it to false. So with this now, we want to add a button which the user will click and will be able to get the rewarded videos. So for this one now, we used if this is ready, you show this. But we want to put the button here. Remember, we have a center, and this is the center, and we have a column which allows us to add our button. So we say elevated button, and then on press, what we want to do. For now, we leave it null, and then we have our child, which we want to put as test, and then uh, we call it get reward. So if we refresh this, we are going to see our button here. But we don't want to show this button until we are sure that our reward is available. Our rewarded AD is available to be served. So what do we want to do? Inside this button, we add a condition on top and say if is rewarded ready, then you can now show this button here. So let's go ahead and refresh and see what it shows us. So it's not ready. It's not ready. Reason why it's not ready is because we've not initialized it here. So we need to initialize our load reward when we are starting. Load reward here, and then it will make it ready and display that button for us here. So what do we want? Let's add, what do we want that button to do when we click on it? This reward button, what do we want it to do? So what we want it to do is to do what? First of all, we want it to show the reward AD dot. We'll make sure it's not null. Then we show the reward AD. And then this is a callback on user end reward. When the user must have finished watching the video, what do we want to do? So we add this, and then the first thing we define a first parameter, which is the message, and the second thing is to get the reward, which is the value of what the user is supposed to what get. So we do this, and don't forget to put your semicolon here. So with this, we'll now set state. Set state. Now we want to be able to catch that reward point. So we do a double, define a double reward point, and we call it 0. We initialize it with 0. So we come down to this place and we set the state reward point. We assign whatever reward dot amount dot to double. So we assign the reward gotten from what we set here initially. When you go to AD, there you set amount, I will set your reward, and we'll see it here. So this, we've done this, so we need to restart so that when we load this page, we can then initialize this load AD here. So this is the first page, which is this home page, which initializes our admob and shows this button. So once we get started here, it's initializing, and it has initialized. That's why we are able to see our button. So since we have a reward which we want to show now, we can go ahead and click this button, and then let me see. I think there's a mistake somewhere. So what happens when after this we show this, and the test is get reward, and then what do we want to do? It's not moving us. So let's quickly check what the problem could be, what the error could be. So now in our reward, we've added our rewarded AD unit. We've also added our AD request and our reward callback on load. We have this, and then we fail to assign the AD which we want to load. So we do this dot rewarded AD, and then we assign the AD which is gotten when it's loaded to its AD. So this is why it didn't load. We've assigned this, and we can now refresh. So while we click on this, it still doesn't work. Okay, let's automatically let's refresh this and see what happens. We go to our next page where we want to see our reward. Once it has initialized, it sets to true, and boom, you can see it's showing us our AD. It showed us our AD, and after showing, it comes to this place, and so once we click on it, it will take us to where we watch our AD, and after watching it, it closes, and then boom. So the next thing we want to do is to do what? To get the value for this reward here. The value for this reward, which is here, we want to get that value. So how do we get that value? We want to display that value to the user. So what do? We say on AD on, so which one am I calling? Load reward AD. Then after this, so let's see the callback functions I have here. Unloaded and okay, let's see. Let me check the callbacks I have. AD dot full screen callback. Okay, equal to full screen callback. What do we want to do when the full screen has been called? Now we want to on AD dismissible. When the AD has been dismissed, what do we want to do? We want to show return the set state to false to tell us until it has been able to load another AD. Set state, we want to return it to is reward ready. We set it to false. Then we say we load the AD again for it to be able to get the next AD. We continue this process, recycling it until we don't need it again. Then on the full screen, I want to do on AD full screen content. When the full screen content has been, I get the reward, and then I want to show a dialog box. Show dialog. This is having, I need to put comma here. It goes. So show dialog. I have a contest and then contest here. And the next thing is I need to have builder and contest. So this I start. What do I want to return? I want to return an alert just to tell us how much we made, but it will return 0 because the value that Google AD demo this thing assigned to it is 0. So we are going to get 0, but then you can put your own reward or do whatever you want to do with it. Content, and we also want to display a test. You say you remember the reward point we defined where we are saving what we got, reward. So we get the value of the reward and show it as a test to the user, and then we have action which we want to do, and we have a test button, and then we have the press. What do you want to do? We want to close that pop-up screen. Navigator dot of contest dot pop. want to pop it, and then the child will be a test. We say close. So let's quickly test this. We have an error somewhere. We are supposed to close it with this. So AD full screen, when the AD full screen has started, it's going to show this, and after that, it's going to see this message. So let's quickly refresh this. It says failed to load AD internal error. So an error occurred, which we saw here. So an error occurred, so it didn't get the AD. That's why it's hiding it. So let's refresh it. AD failed to load 0. So let's try and restart it, touch restart it, and see what happens. So it's going to take us to our page where we can easily see what we need to see. So why is it not restarting? Hot restart. Okay, it has initialized, and sometimes internet can be slow, or some things might happen and you will not be able to get what you need to get. So it's initializing this. After the initialization, it will show us the let's get started button here, and then the next thing which we need to do. Oh, it's saying disconnecting, disconnecting, disconnecting. So I don't know why it's disconnecting. Maybe it's my internet, so I have to stop it, and then let's rerun it afresh. Let's run it again. So we've done the banner, we've done the rewarded. Now is for the interstitial. So why it is still loading, let's quickly set up our method for interstitial reward. So this is it here. This is our load. So this void here will be for our interstitial reward. Sorry, interstitial AD. So what do we want to do? First of all, we go over to this place and we create uh, interstitial AD, boolean is interstitial AD ready. Set it to what? False. So it's showing error here because we didn't add a null checker here. So we are ready to kickstart our interstitial implementation. So we say interstitial ad.load, and then we add this and close it out by putting this. Then we need to add our AD unit. Remember our AD helper where we are storing this. So we do AD helper dot interstitial AD unit. The next thing is to request. Our request will come from this function AD request, which has been predefined. We have AD load callback. When our AD has loaded, what do we want to do? We want to do interstitial AD load callback. And what do we want to show? We want to show our unload and also this. So what do we want to have for our unload? For our unload, we get the AD and store it in this parameter here, and then we load that same AD, this dot, this interstitial AD, we assign it to this AD here, and then we say AD dot full screen callback. What happens when the full screen, after the full screen callback, we want to navigate to another screen or content callback. What do we want to do on AD dismissible full screen content? We get that particular AD and then we define what we want in here. So for this is what we have. And then let's implement when our AD fails to load. What do we want to do? We want to get the error, and then the next thing we want to do is to print what? Is to print fail to load and interstitial AD. Then it will give us the error message. Okay, this is what we want to do, and then we want to make sure that our is interstitial ready. Okay, what did I define it as here? Oh, I didn't put this. Sorry. Is interstitial ready. Putting underscore means you are making it private to this particular context alone. It cannot be accessed outside of this context. We set it to what? We set it to false. So it's still installing our application, and once it's done installing, it will start initializing. So with this which you've created here, we need to make sure that this is loaded when this game screen starts. So we go to our initialization and we call it under the initialization here, under this init state here. So with that done, we have an error somewhere here. Okay, I didn't put my colon. Now, what do we want to do when the user has closed this advert screen? Let's say the user is playing a game, and at the end of the game, the user is supposed to go to the next level, and then that next level will be loaded when the user dismisses this screen. So therefore, we will add another page and then call it next level underscore route. So when we import, we add this, we import our material, this, and then define a stateful widget. I'll call it next level. So with this, we'll turn this into a scaffold and then come over. The syntax is taking too long, maybe because of I don't have this on this. So let's allow it to load. Then we define that level in our route. We say next level is what we call, and then we use our build context what we want to do, new next level. So this just it. So it's supposed to be showing our loading progress bar right now. Okay, it has been able to initialize, and let's quickly refresh so that all these that we just implemented will be added. So in our next level route, we want to put body, we want to put center, and then we want to put a child, and we call it test button. And on press, what do we want when the user presses it? We want us to take us all the way back to the home page. So we say navigator dot of context dot push name, then we want to go to home. Yeah. So the next thing is the child, which will be a test, and we say restarts. So sorry, this is supposed to be inside a colon, inside a quotation mark. So this is for our next level. And back in our game, we want to define navigation dot navigator dot pull dot of context dot push name, and where do we want to go to? Next level, and then close it out. So with all this which we've done, we are ready to take a look or take a dive into our reward system. So this has been loaded. Then we start up by clicking here. It should take us to the next screen. Oh, it's freezing. Okay, it has taken us to the second screen. So the second screen is going to check, it's going to take its time to check whether I have a banner. Okay, let's change this to welcome to admob. So let's refresh this so that we can know the difference between the first page and the game routing page, which has the same as ad blah 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 serving and the rest of them. So this is going to restart in a short while. Okay, it has initialized. So we want to refresh it so that it can show, instead of showing ad will be shown at the top here, it can show this welcome to admob. And let's get started. Test. So with this now, we are ready to serve our banner, our reward video, our interstitial, and so many other things. So I don't know why it's not loading as it should. Okay, so it's telling us that all this AD we are trying to get currently is not available. So I'm going to change my network to another network. I'm going to switch to another network just to okay. Here it is. It says welcome to admob. Let's get started. So we click on let's get started, and I've clicked on it. It's going to take me to the next page, and it will try to initialize on our game page. Hope I added this to the initialization. Okay, here it is. So it's going to take some time for it to load or initialize those stuffs. So it's going to take some time. It's time. So that's one thing with the AD. It's an asynchronous call. You have to wait for it. We have, okay, it has initialized. It's showing our banner. It's showing our get reward, which is our video reward here. And let's see our video reward. Okay, it's taking us to where we can see our video reward. It's displaying it, but it's going to make it full screen. Sorry, this emulator is dragging. That's why we can't really see it. Don't know why it's dragging. So this is it. So for our interstitial, you might be asking, how do we show our interstitial this? How do we show our interstitial button? So you see that implementation where it tells you you got 0 reward. So the value that this demo sets the value is 0. So that's why we are getting 0 here. So I will close this up, and then it will still, once it loads another video, it will come out here. But then I want to add another text button for us to be able to see the interstitial reward. This interstitial, we want to load the interstitial. So what do? I come down after this elevated button here. I want to add a sized box, and then give it height 20, and then we now use our if to check whether our interstitial is ready. If it's ready, then we put a test button, and then we have our on click, and we have our child. So for our on click, what do we want to do? We want to load our interstitial. You remember we assigned the AD which we got to our interstitial. So we first of all check, make sure it's not null, and then interstitial does show. So for this, we have a test widget, and that test widget is going to say complete this level. So these are the things which we need to do. So I'm going to go ahead and restart this. It's going to try to get those things which we talked about. It's going to try and load them. Okay, our reward is ready, but the other one, our interstitial, is not ready. So let's check on our interstitial and see why it is not ready. Interstitial force this, and okay, let's restart it so that it will load our interstitial and give us what we need. So this is where we assigned the interstitial, the AD we are getting here to our interstitial. That's why we are able to do interstitial.load, and it's a full screen size. And once we close the AD, it should take us to the next level where we can then return back to our home screen. So this is it here. This is the first one that I've loaded. We are still waiting for our banner and our interstitial. So what do we need to do? Interstitial.load, this helper, this interstitial, the AD, this.load, they call back for it. Oh, I see. We didn't set this to underscore interstitial ready. We need to set it to what? To true, so that it will be able to see it. So we refresh. This is our home page. Let's say welcome to admob. Okay, it has initialized again. So we go over to our game screen, our game route or game screen. So it's going to take us there in a moment. So this is our game screen. It's saying AD banner will be displayed at the top. So it's going to get the banner which needs to be displayed at the top. So it's taking time, and let's give it some time. Okay, so it has loaded all our 3 ADs. This is the banner, this is the reward, this is the complete this level screen, which is our interstitial. So let's first of all do our interstitial and see what it gives us. It gives us a whole page AD. So it's going to retrieve that. So this is our AD. If we can add a function to when user clicks on it, whether you want to give them reward, whether you want to give them extra life or whatever. So when we close it, it's supposed to take us to this level, this navigation screen. So let me check and make sure that this guy is well defined. Oh, I said next levy. So I need to maybe remove so I don't need to refresh this guy. So let's say I refresh it here now. I didn't put L in this our route here, so that's why I had to remove this L that I put here. So let's reload our interstitial again. Let's reload our interstitial again. It's getting our stuff. Okay, it's saying it's doing too much work. So this actually is when this is loaded, the initialize, this is loaded on load. We set it to true. That's what we didn't do before, which was giving us error. Okay, while we are waiting for it, let's call the video and see what is our video. It's showing here. It's supposed to fill this whole screen, but I guess my device is slow. That's why it's showing. Okay, this is it. It's going to show the video and then give you the timer countdown, and then after it shows you where to download it from depending on the AD. So this is it here. It will show you the reward you got, and then you can now close this. So it will still try to load the extra video. Once it's able to load, it will now show you the button again. Then for our interstitial, let's try and complete our interstitial by clicking on it and then see what it shows us. I want us to see the interstitial and what happens when you close the interstitial. So let's just restart it and then load it again. So it's taking a lot of RAM. That's why loading those ADs, and so try to limit the number of ADs you are serving by defining it here on the AD unit. So there's no AD unit level, AD app level. So you have to define number of ADs it will serve per minute, per second. So you have to define it there so that you don't bombard the user's phone with ADs and maybe slow it down. So it should restart by now. We're still waiting for this guy. Let me quickly restart it. So those are the things which you need to do. I just need to show you the interstitial, what it does, and then we are good to go. So it's going to go over to the home page and initialize. After the initialization, it's going to do some couple of stuff and then bring us to this place. Okay, let's just end this video. No need taking it further. But when you click on the interstitial, it shows you the page, and when you close it, it returns you to the home page, and then voila, you can repeat the whole process again. So this is how to monetize your app. Don't forget, these are the you need once you're after 2 days of creating this, you need to copy this AD unit. This is for Android, and then come over to this place and go to AD helper and replace it here. Replace it with what you have here for your banner AD unit. This is for banner, this is for interstitial, this is for reward. So make sure you change this for your Android, and for your iOS, create an iOS app, and then this is platform.isiOS. Replace everything you have for iOS under this other place. So it has loaded. Let's quickly see if we can get it working. I click on let's get started. It's supposed to take me in. Okay, it has gone to the next screen, and this next screen now is trying to load the ADs, the AD, the advert which we have. It's trying to load it. It's trying to load it, but it's taking a lot of time. But no, not retrying to fetch app setting. Oh, it's taking a lot of time. I think it's because this is an emulator. And okay, it's trying to get it. It's getting it. Okay, we have our reward. We have our interstitial. We have our banner here. So let's quickly click on our interstitial. It gives us the interstitial AD. It's going to serve this AD. And when we close it, it takes us to the next level. It's supposed to take us to the next level. And then we restart. So click on restart, it takes us to our home screen. So this is what I wanted to show you. If a user finishes the first level, you can use that to take him to the next level, show the AD before he goes to the next level, and so on and so forth. And when you must have done that, under your payments here, depending on the quantity of ADs which has been shown, you can then see how much you've earned so far. It's going to show you how much you've earned so far, and then you can see a report on which of your app is generating the most money for you. Admob network. Let's say for Admob network, because this is what I'm using. So during this period, I've not earned anything because I've not been very active on it. So that's all for now. Thank you for your time.